So welcome to REI Live Sarasota. This is actually our third virtual meeting, so that's pretty amazing. We're getting the hang of it a little bit more each time. Um, Real quick, I just wanted to mention to find us on social media. These are a couple of handles that we use. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Most of our events are all on our Facebook page, so make sure that you find us there. We are now on YouTube as well. You can head over to our new YouTube channel, REI Live SRQ. It's got past recordings of our meetings, our classes, and all of our REI Live updates that Catherine has been so graciously putting up there for us. Make sure that you do subscribe and that you hit the bell so that you get notifications every time we upload a new video for you guys. So what is REI Live? REI Live stands for Real Estate Investing Live. It's the newest way for investors and real estate entrepreneurs to network and collaborate. We started in Birmingham, Alabama, and now we have 5 cities throughout the U.S. We're in Columbia, South Carolina, us in Sarasota, Atlanta, and the newest one is Orlando. Orlando is actually having a virtual meeting tonight too. We always have a keynote speaker every month, and when we are in person, we network for the first hour. So the investor quarters schedule, it's on facebook.com/investor quarters. We do have a few meetings next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. So Tuesday at 11:30, what your real estate accountant wished that you knew from day one. Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we have our real estate attorney and sponsor of REI Live, Chad Gates, with Van Gates and Dramis. And then on Wednesday at 2, REI Live updates. We have Rick from Sable Palm Bank, who is also a sponsor. Our next REI Live is going to be May 28th, unless we decide to throw in another bonus meeting like we did tonight. But May 28th and going into June. June could be in person. I'm going to go ahead and assume that May 28th will probably still be virtual. As far as Florida goes, the guidelines for the CDC and everything going on with COVID-19 is kind of up in the air. It sounds like we may be more open on May 15th, so we'll just have to play it by ear. So just make sure that you're attached to our Facebook page, watching our YouTube channel, and subscribe to that so that you can get the most fresh updates. Mark also has, starting on Monday, May 11th at 9:45 a.m., a 30-day, 5-week transformation course. This is also posted on our Facebook page, and you can also find it on our website, uniwithmark.com, and that's literally the letter UNI with mark.com, and Mark is with a C. For the 4 of us, the main people who run the show here behind the scenes, Paul, myself, Mark, and Catherine, this is all of our actual cell phone numbers. We didn't just change one number off or anything like that. This isn't a bad date. This is our real cell phone numbers, I promise. And you can find us on Instagram. We do post stuff on Instagram all the time. And our Facebook group page, which is facebook.com groups/REI Live SRQ. That's kind of our common theme, is REI Live SRQ. We also have LeadX. Paul and I started this a little while ago. This is a company that's affiliated with REI Live. We do have discounted lead lists. We do websites, CRMs. We have Podio, which is easy button and beast mode, all of that good stuff. It's got skip tracing tools. And we also have discounts when it comes to mailers and stuff. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to Catherine or myself, and we will get you hooked up on all of that. And I know we have said this a couple times now, but we're so excited. We actually have 2 pages of sponsors now, so that's super exciting. And we have our guest speaker tonight. She is the marketing queen. We are so pumped to have her, Christina. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you, dear. If you want to go until, we usually go until about 7:30. If you want to do a quick presentation and leave some time from Q&A, we sometimes have Q&A. Questions come in. So anyone who has a question while Christina's speaking, you can put it into the chat right here in this group on the GoToMeeting, and Catherine and I will monitor that, and we can ask Christina towards the end as we go. So I will flip this over to Christina, and Catherine, if you don't mind flipping the admin role.
Christina, you should be presenter now, so you can share your screen. But you are muted still, so hold on 1 second. There we go.
Got it. Okay, so if I don't have any slides to share, do I just hit cancel or do I still hit share?
Oh, if you don't have slides to share, then you can just go.
Okay, I'm gonna hit cancel. All right, guys. So first, I feel kind of weird. I literally for those of you that don't know the story, and I just want to say first of all how excited I am to be here with you guys tonight. And I really do. I want to talk to you a little bit from a marketing perspective and a data perspective about things that I think you're probably interested in. And then I would really love to leave a good 15, 20 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer if I can manage to keep my words to a minimum, which I have a hard time doing sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, by the way, is there any way for me to see people? Can I go like view
There's
everyone?
not, because it moves everybody around, so editing
Oh,
after
gotcha.
the fact is really hard.
Okay, gotcha. So I gotta just stare at my face right now. And the only reason why that's bothering me, I actually so just to give you a little bit of back history in terms of how badly I wanted to be here with you guys. I was supposed to come and see you guys live and in person in February. I literally like had a flight that had a short layover in North Carolina. We landed in North Carolina late, so I was already nervous that we were going to miss the connection. And it turned out that there was like this weird weather pattern that went through North Carolina, and the entire, like all of the flights got canceled out of North Carolina. So I was on my way to be with you, got delayed in North Carolina, then my flight got canceled out of North Carolina. So I was literally stuck. I couldn't even go home. Like I couldn't get to you, I couldn't go home. And I was like, I cannot believe I'm like supposed to be somewhere to speak. And we were looking at, could I drive there? I mean, it was crazy. Then I was supposed to come, I think in March or whatever it was. And then Corona happens, right? And I was like, are you kidding me? And then today, I've been looking forward to this all week, and at about like 2 o'clock, power goes down. Like all the power in the house goes down, and I was like, wait, what's happening? And it turned out that the entire town went down. There was some kind of main transformer that blew. They were actually saying that we were not going to be back up until 10 or 11. And I was like, all right, I'll just do it from my phone. And then I was like, I know, but if I do it from my phone, there's no lights. Like I'm going to be in the dark. And I was like, well, that's just what's going to happen. But like literally about 10 minutes before this phone call, all the lights came back on, which was great, except that I've got like a whole filming studio downstairs where, there's like nice lights, and I would normally like get my hair down and not show up looking like a gym rat here for this presentation. But I was like, listen, lights are back on. I'm just going to do it from my office instead of going down to the studio and figuring out what lights had blown and, what systems were up and running. So anyway, I said all of that to say that I have moved heaven and earth over the past 3 months to be here with you guys. And I'm super, super pumped to talk to you guys tonight. I don't know if this chat works similarly to Zoom. But I would love, let me see if I can just put and get this out of the way. Yes, I think I can. Can I put my contact information in here?
Yes, please do.
All right. So I'm going to do that right now. This is a system I'm not fully used to. But let me first introduce myself, and then we'll kind of jump into the meat here. Again, my name is Christina. I have 2 companies. Most people know me by the company that has been around longest, which is Postal Impact. So Postal Impact, very quickly, is a data and analytic company that uses data and analytics to generate motivated seller leads for our clients. And then we do a completely done for you direct mail system based around those leads. Okay. What makes us really unique though, is that we track data all the way through the sales pipeline. So we're not just looking at response rates on campaigns and net lead rates on campaigns. We're also evaluating our clients' teams. We're looking at how those teams convert different lead types. So when we're generating a lead list for our clients, we're a very specialty lead driven company. So we first mail every specialty lead you could possibly get your hands on that we can determine to be high value, probate, lease pendants, tax delinquent, utility shop. That's all part of our campaign. And then we also have our own kind of proprietary blend where we're layering financial distress over, you know, different factors and things like that. But more importantly, when we mail out a list, as people respond to our marketing, we are stalking the people who are responding. We're looking for common characteristics of people who are actually responding to the marketing that we're doing. You know, what are the common characteristics of the person? What are the common characteristics of the home that they're living in, of their circumstances? The idea being, and here's one of the reasons why I'm sticking a pin in this right here, guys, there's nothing that we do that you can't do. We don't do anything special, we just do it. We have the discipline to do it. You could do the same thing. You could literally take everybody who responds to your marketing, you could study them. The purpose of that is to determine what's the 20 to 30% of your list where 70 to 80% of your yield is coming from, so that you can target that part of the list. If I could tell you definitively that 74% of the people who contact you are over the age of 68 years old, why would you ever market again to anybody who is under the age of 68 years old, right? If you have that kind of data, data is powerful, and it tells you what to do. It tells you what your high value lead lists are. For us, because we represent some of the biggest investors in the nation, and I will say it's a very robust model. So that model that we execute for our clients, we have to, if you're going to study data, you have to study it in high volume, right? So, I mean, we're mailing out in each county 25,000 leads at a time for our clients, or within a given month, and then we're studying that data. But the value of doing that is that we know kind of nationwide, you know, what's working and what's not. So from the fully done for you, like that completely done for you model, I mean, we've got a $10,000 a month minimum spend that our clients have to spend. Our average client probably spends more like somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 a year. Why that's important to you is that it gives us data to study on a national level. So I'm going to answer some questions for you guys based on actual data tonight about what's working. We're living in a really interesting time. I don't think I have to tell you that. But here's what's really interesting about data. For all of our clients, we have a motivated seller avatar, right? And this is something that we've determined over years and years worth of data study. But guess what happens when a major event like this happens? It just kind of levels everything out. So it's not that the data that we've studied the past 2 years is not valuable, but it could be completely different. In fact, we expect that it would be. We expect that a motivated seller today, the avatar of a motivated seller today, is completely different. Maybe not completely different, but definitely different than a motivated seller even 2 months ago or even 1 month ago. And that's going to continually change as people's pain points start to shift. Motivated seller avatars are going to change, and I'm going to really push into you, and it's one of the things that we'll talk about. I'll start to talk to you about some of the things that we are seeing as motivating factors, right? But this is the way that I want you to start to think about your marketing, because rather than to send hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail, I want you to figure out what are the highest value characteristics of motivated sellers, so that you're niching your list down and you're getting really super lean with your marketing. And I want to teach you and just teach your brain. And I don't even need to teach it. I just need to, what is the word? I just need to get your brain to think like, oh, of course those are the things that I should think about, you know, so that you know how to target with your marketing. Okay. So the first thing that well, so there's that. The virtual lead managers, by the way, I'll just say this very, very briefly. That was born out of us working and being under the hoods of some of the best investors in the nation, and also understanding that follow-up is absolutely key to making sure that you are converting your leads the way that you should be. 60 to 70% of your deals are going to come in follow-up, 30 or more days after the first point of contact with the client, okay? The reason why we created the virtual lead manager company, which are VAs who are pre-screened and pre-trained to nurture and audit leads through your system and run follow-up sequences on your system, is because we recognized after working with the kind of clients that we do for so long that so many of us, including myself in that, are horrific at follow-up. And there's so much opportunity at follow-up. So I'm going to be pushing in on you guys to also focus very heavily on follow-up as well. All right. So before I get started, any housekeeping things that I need to know? Should I be keeping an eye on the chat box if anybody has any questions? I love it if we can be interactive. Love, love, love it.
Absolutely. I can actually keep a check on that if you're okay with it, or
Yeah.
you can.
Yep, perfect. If you could do that for me, and just feel free to break in at any point. But I'll also try to leave some room at the end, you know, for some follow-up. Okay. So I kind of during this, I'm going to again try to do a little bit of a condensed presentation. I just want to kind of touch on the current situation that we're in. The biggest question that I get right now is, should I be marketing through quarantine? If I shouldn't be marketing, at what point should I start marketing? And I can also give you the vast majority of my clients have actually continued to market through quarantine and lockdown. And I'll explain to you why they've done that, but I'm going to give you some data about like what's happening in the market for those people who are still marketing. Hey, can you guys do me a favor? Can just by maybe show of hands or yes or no or something, how many of you have been marketing through quarantine or lockdown, or have you paused your marketing? I'm just curious about kind of what everybody's strategies have been. Let's go yes or no. Yes, I have been marketing. No, I haven't been marketing. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to keep going. What I will say is that, you know, people ask me all the time, like, what's the thing that's most important right now? And I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn here. And I'm going to tell you that the most important thing for any investor right now, hands down, I actually wrote a post for a really big investor group, a high-level investor group, about the power of masterminds and the power of RIAs and groups like this. I genuinely believe, guys, right now that the most important thing anybody can do right now is to make sure that you are plugged in to this network. The power of this network that you have at your fingertips right now is your most valuable resource. I promise you. Just even think about like the resources that you're being given, the network. The most dangerous thing any of us could do right now while we're going through these uncertain times and these unprecedented times is to operate in a bubble. It's dangerous to operate in a bubble anyway, but more than anything right now, we need each other. We need to be iron sharpens iron. We need to be asking each other questions. We need to be finding out what each other are doing. We need to be networking with each other. We need to be JVing with each other. A lot of people are really struggling right now, and where we're finding a lot of the answer in the struggle is in partnering with each other to get through this period of time. You know, we're living in this moment of time, and I don't think anybody argues with the fact that there is massive opportunity on the other side of what we're going through, okay? But the key is we've got to get through this period of time. The key is you've got your first and number one focus has to be, how do I get through the next 2 to 3 months? Because if I can survive the next 2 to 3 months, there's enormous opportunity on the other side of it. I don't think anybody disagrees with that, but you have to do whatever you have to do to get through this period of time right now, okay? So coaching, mastermind, an absolute number one priority before you do anything. You know, people say you are the top 5 people that you hang out with. I like to say it a different way. Here's what I say all the time. Show me your friends and I will show you your future. Dig into groups like this. It is absolutely critical that you do. You will be a lot of the guys that I know, a lot of the big, you know, the big educators and things like that I knew, I know them because I grew up with them. We were in masterminds together 10 years ago when we kind of all grew up together. So some of the connections that you're going to make here in this group right now are people that 5, 6, 7 years from now, you guys are going to have exploded, and you're going to have exploded because you've utilized each other. Like you've seen the value of your community and you've dug into the community. Okay. So, for the first time ever, like I think the big question is like, what's going to happen, right? Like what's going to happen when we come out of all of this? And I'm going to tell you right now, if there's anybody who's definitively telling you what's going to happen, I mean, I don't know. the bottom line is none of us know. Like, none of us know what's going to happen. None of us know. I mean, we have a sense of it, right? But every single day, I feel like every single day I wake up and something different is happening and some new piece of news has come out. And good Lord, it's funny because even today, when we were trying to figure out what to do with the electric, I said, like, can you imagine being in lockdown and being in quarantine? And what if everybody's power went out for an extended period of time? Can you imagine how that would, just that alone, like everything changes everything right now. And I think the most important thing is just to understand that you've got to get as lean as you possibly can so that regardless of what happens, you can just pivot and you can move and you can shift as effortlessly as possible, right? So for the first time ever, also, by the way, guys, I'm telling people, I've always been a big advocate of focus on one thing. Pick your one thing and focus on one thing. I'm going to say something that might sound a little bit controversial, but right now in this moment, I'm actually for the first time ever encouraging people to have multiple irons in the fire. Okay, now let me clarify, because I'm not talking about having a real estate business and an Etsy business and a, popsicle stand. That's not what I'm talking about. I am saying you have got to, like, I'm seeing a lot of people who are struggling are, for example, a wholesaler who is just wholesaling and not doing anything else, or just utilizing one method of marketing and not doing anything else. We are living in a moment where we don't know what's going to happen. So what I am encouraging people to do is to have, kind of multiple irons of the fire, but all things that serve each other. Okay, so that if one thing doesn't work out, you've not wasted a lot of time and effort. Okay, use this period of time to think about, like, what are some of the opportunities potentially going to be. I think you're going to see short sales probably make a comeback. I think creative financing is going to get really important. I actually give myself a little bit of time every week to just sit down and think about strategies. Think about if there are going to be homeowners out there who are in 2 months going to be experiencing a lot of financial pain. They're not experiencing pain now, but they're going to be experiencing pain in 2 months. And there are going to be sellers out there, guys, who have no way to survive this unless they tap into the equity of their home. So just to give you an example of what I'm telling you to do when I say you need to have multiple exit strategies in the fire, think about how valuable it would be if, for example, you could buy somebody's home and allow them to stay so that they could tap into the equity of their home, they could get money, but they could continue to stay and rent from you if you're a buy and hold person. And how do you mitigate the risk of that person staying? What are the different ways that you can mitigate risk? Could you escrow money from the sale of the home? There's just any number of ways to think about it, but what I'm really encouraging people to do is to think creatively, because most of you probably know that the lending side of things has been massively disrupted. I think it will come back to some degree, but I don't think it will come back the way that it has been before. So if you're having a hard time exiting deals because your lending has dried up, or your buyers have dried up because their lending has dried up, you've got to think about the other ways that you can work around that. All right. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm talking is I want to kind of address 3 different categories of investors, and you self-define where you are. But one of the things that I say to people, and when you're deciding whether or not you should be marketing right now, all right, I separate people into 3 different categories. I'm going to share those with you, and then I'm going to share some suggestions that I have depending on which bucket you fall into. Okay, so one of the things that I tell everybody needs to do, regardless of where you are, is use this time to honestly and brutally assess where you are. And I'm encouraging people to do that in their business and in every area of their life, right? Because what I will tell you is that I have worked with enough massively successful people to kind of understand that the difference between successful and massively successful people is self-awareness and understanding that when one area of your life is out of order, it is going to impact every area of your life, because mediocrity is absolute poison. I promise you, it is poison, and it will infiltrate and affect every part of your life. So if your business is on point, but your health is not, it's going to affect how successful your business is. I'm not saying you can't be successful, but I'm saying it's going to impact how successful you are. Are you successful or are you massively successful? If your relationship with your kids and your spouse isn't right, it's going to impact everything. You guys know this, right? But one of the things that I've encouraged people to do through this time is create certainty where you can. There are areas of your life that you know full well what you could do to get in order. And that will give you certainty in a moment where there are, in business, guys, there's uncertainty and there's nothing we can do about that. But with your health, you know what you can do. And it's time. Use this time to get dialed in, knowing that if you will do that, if you will get dialed in the areas of your life where you do have control. So look at the areas of your life where you do have control. When you get those areas under control, I don't know if it's a law of the universe and whatever it is, but everything else seems to fall into place. So get control where you can. Identify where are the areas in your life where, hey, I do have control over that. Let me work on that right now. All right. So everybody should be brutally assessing where you are from a business standpoint. If your systems aren't in place, if you don't have a good process in place, if you need to get education on sales training, if you need to look at your data, if you need to do those things, guys, use this time to do that. Use this time to do that and to get your business up and running as well as you possibly can. All right. So assess your finances to determine where you fall in the 3 buckets I'm about to describe. I think it is really important for everybody to look at the next 2 to 3 months and making sure that you can get through the next 2 to 3 months. Are your finances in order enough that if you did not bring in any income for the next 2 to 3 months, can you survive? Okay. And if you cannot, then you fall into bucket A. And what you need to do over the course of these next 2 to 3 months is not spend money on marketing, obviously. What you need to do is you need to look at what you have in place that you can do that isn't going to cost you any money. 2 really obvious things that I'll give you is, first of all, the most valuable lead, because everybody wants to know what's working right now, like what's the hot lead right now? What's the hottest lead right now? I'll go into a little bit more detail because I'll give you what you want. I know what you want. But the most valuable lead in your business right now, wherever you fall in those buckets, guys, is the leads that are already in your system. The leads you've already paid for, because somebody that you were not able to convert even a month ago has a completely different level of pain today and a different level of motivation today. So the very first thing 100% that you should be doing is to be making sure that you're using this time to go back 6 months back, a year back, however long back, and go to all of the people that you've spoken with, that you've already established some kind of relationship with, and see if you can't shake any of those trees and revive any of those leads. All right, identify another level of motivation, or a level of motivation that didn't exist before. Okay, so that's easy enough. That doesn't cost you anything to do. You've already spent the money on the lead. Do that. Okay, the other thing that you can do is contact other people in your network or in your area and find out what their pain is. Right now, dispositions is the hottest topic amongst real estate investors, because before, when you had the deal, right, everybody would have said 2 months ago, if I was in a group and any other educator or somebody who's in the space was in a group, a lot of times people would get hung up by saying, I need to get my attorney down, I need to get my buyer's list down. And what we would have all said is, no, you need to get a deal, because if you have a good deal, you'll find the buyer. Getting rid of the deal is not going to be your problem. You got to get the lead. We're living in a moment where that is now the exact opposite. If you're going to do any marketing at all, you have to know how you're going to exit that deal, because a lot of the buyers have gone away. I'm sure that you guys have experienced this yourself. All right. So we're living in a moment where we now have to say the exact opposite. The very first thing that you should be doing is making sure that if you get a deal locked down, you have the ability to exit that deal. And if you don't have the money to market right now, I know I have clients, not marketing clients, but lead manager clients who are literally making money right now by reaching out to other investors in their area and helping to solve their pain points. So there's a lot of investors right now that are in pain, and there are things that you could be doing to not only establish a really good, strong relationship with them, but you could partner with them. There are things that all of you guys could do to be working together to get you money in your pocket to make it through this period of time. Okay. So let's go to bucket B. Bucket B are people, in my opinion, who it's a little bit worrisome. Things are a little tight, but you can definitely make it through a little bit of an extended period of time without income. But you got to make something happen, and you want to be able to take advantage of what's coming. So should you be marketing, right? And the answer, and I'm gonna throw some data and stats at you. The answer is definitely yes. But I am suggesting that you do that in a very lean and niched back way. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a second to give you guys a little bit of data. What I will tell you from a direct mail standpoint is that from the time that the NBA made the announcement that they were canceling the season, okay, and that was when it got real for everybody. I was in Missouri at the time, and it was crazy. I was at an event, I was speaking at an event where there was like 600 people. And somehow, myself included, it's not that I wasn't taking it seriously, but I didn't realize the gravity of it. But there was something about that NBA announcement that just made it real. We were like, okay, this is gonna happen, right? From that moment, okay, the response rate on mail plummeted for about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks, it dropped by like 25%, okay? That said, ever since March 23rd, response rates have skyrocketed back up, and the net lead rates have remained stable as well. So that for the past 2 years, I would say the average response rate nationwide for the past 2 years, give or take a point, so very little variation, is about 0.5% for postcards, okay? Average response rate. Right now, the average response rate is 0.6 and climbing. Now, the reason that doesn't sound like a big shift to go from 0.5 to 0.6, it doesn't sound like a big shift, but it's a massive shift because we have 2 years and millions of points of data that tells us it's 0.5%. So response rate is up because think about it, you've got a captive audience, and 60 to 70% of people who were advertising before are gone. So whereas before you had 100 people mailing somebody a postcard, now you got 5 or 6 mailing them a postcard. So you've got a captive audience, you've got a whole lot less people marketing right now, okay? Letters have gone up by almost 250%. The response rate on letters, handwritten letter or handwritten hand addressed envelopes have gone up by almost 250%. Again, you've got a captive audience at home right now, take advantage of it. That said, what I'm telling people to do right now is to be very targeted with your lists. I'm not suggesting, I have clients who are mailing in mass, but I'm not necessarily suggesting that for most people. What I'm saying is go back into your system, identify what your highest value lists were, and target those lists specifically in this moment. Even if you can't close the deal, guys, think about it this way. You are getting in front of somebody who might not be ready right this second, but 2 months, 3 months from now, when they are ready to sell their home, because now they're in a massive amount of pain, you have already established the rapport with them. You've established a relationship with them. So 2 months from now, when everybody else is jumping on the mail bandwagon, you're already ahead of the curve, okay? Just to throw out a couple of things, right now, the highest performing leads are absentee. This makes sense, right? Because the people who are in the most pain right now are investors. So you have a lot of investors that either can't exit deals and or have rental properties that they're struggling to sell, but they need to sell to access their cash, okay? So think about what you can do with a high risk lead also that makes it even more valuable. Right now, at Postal Impact, where we have a special lead that we designed just for this moment. It's called the high risk landlord lead, And that is basically just an absentee lead on steroids. And guys, you can do this yourself. Think about what other filters you can apply to an absentee lead that makes it more valuable. We layer financial distress on it. We're going back and getting eviction records. Think about how valuable eviction records are. We are also identifying hard-hit occupations, and we're filtering based on occupations, based on the people that we know are in pain right now. All right, so just think about it. Think about what you can do to make a lead more valuable. The number one performing lead right now, by the way, guys, is probate. It just overtook absentee. So just so that you know, as we're looking at hundreds of thousands of points of data, probate's the highest performing lead, the highest converting lead right now. And I think it's probably just a matter of there are people who are sitting on an asset and they're looking at what's happening and they're going, I need to secure my finances. I need to sell this asset that I wasn't super motivated to sell before. I'm motivated to sell it now. That's a number one performing lead. Okay. Lastly, and then I'll open up for questions, are people who are super strong, super, have massive marketing budget, have capacity, have the disposition side down. And what those guys are doing right now is marketing, to make sure that they do not lose their momentum, and also to build momentum. My biggest clients doubled down. When quarantine happened, I didn't know they were going to do this, but they doubled down. The idea, if you think about it, is direct mail takes usually about 3 months to build the momentum where you're maximizing conversion on direct mail, right? So in their heads, they were saying, I would rather get the momentum build out of the way. I'm still having conversations with people. So I'm still building rapport. I'm still establishing myself as the front runner when they're ready to sell. But think about this. The clients that I have that are doubling down on their direct mail are doing it so that when the opportunity presents itself 3 months from now, they have all of the momentum build out of the way, and now they're perfectly positioned to ideally take advantage of the people who are wanting to sell at the time that they're wanting to sell. Okay, but again, I'm still really kind of suggesting to people to niche your list down and then target it in multiple ways. Send them a postcard, send them a letter, outbound call them, text them, but just get really limited in in what you're marketing to, instead of just randomly spending money. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So at this point, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, but it looks like there's a few that have come in, and to go off of what you originally asked, it looks like most people are still marketing. One person is not. And to go off of that, what would you suggest a person who is not marketing or hasn't marketed yet be marketing to?
Yes. Okay. So I went over, if you have marketed in the past, go to your leads, right? If you are literally just getting started and you have a limited budget, okay, if you're literally just getting started, then go to those specialty lead lists. All right, you can find them anywhere. We've got them at Postal Impact, the specialty leads like lease pendants, and I don't know what kind of leads do you guys sell on your platform?
Normally we target the high equity list because they include the absentee owners, but absentee owners are so robust down here because we have so many suburbs. So
well, that's why, by the way, we did the high risk landlord lead. The high risk landlord lead will filter that way down to usually a couple hundred leads instead of 5,000 leads. So again, think about that though, guys. Think about what are the additional filters that you can put on leads to make them even more valuable. But what I would do also is go for financially. I probably wouldn't target something like mortgage delinquency. That's usually a great lead. But guys, if you target mortgage delinquency right now, I don't think people are afraid right now with mortgage delinquency, but think about things like probate. Think about things like divorce. That's a strong performing lead right now. That's a strong performing lead. And I would either, if you've got the budget for it, mail right now is crushing it just because there's so much less competition. Everybody's calling and texting. Mail is great. If you can do that, and if you can do a hand addressed stamped envelope, man, that is performing like gangbusters. But the other thing also that I would do, especially if I was just starting out, first of all, again, reach out to your network, use this time to network, to get your name out there, but also think about from an occupation standpoint, who you know that knows either is a high risk seller, kind of in a potentially in a high risk situation, or who you know that know people. So do you know people who know restaurant owners? Do you know people who know librarians? Do you know people? Just guys, sit down for 30. You guys are super duper smart, I promise you. Sit down and think about, man, who's in pain right now? Like, who owns a home that you know, it could be a win for both of us. Go out to the people that you know and make sure that they know that you are a potential option, a potential answer. You're Tylenol for people's pain right now. This is not you taking advantage of the situation. Guys, I'm telling you that there are millions and millions of people who the only way they're going to survive this financially is to tap into the equity of their home. Like, thank God they have it. There are going to be a lot less people and investors buying because of what's happening. So you're going to be a tall drink of water for a lot of people. So if you're just starting out, think about how you can begin now to position yourself for that buy, okay? I would also use this time, guys, to get your buyers list down. Use each other to figure out who's buying so that when the time comes to really target those sellers who need a quick answer, you're ready to go. The disposition piece is going to be your biggest hurdle. I'm going to tell you right now, it is right now. Like, we literally opened up just for this time on our marketing hub page, on the Postal Impact page, we literally put a dispositions page where people can just go and list their deals to try to use our network to connect them with buyers, because that's the biggest pain point for people right now. So if you're just starting out and you have a buyer's list, I'm telling you right now, if you legitimately have people who are buying right now, you could make an entire business out of the next 2 months and build a massively powerful network simply by contacting every investor you can think of and saying, hey, if you've got a deal you can't exit right now, I have a buyer. And you know, make a couple $1,000s by connecting the buyer, and now you've got loyalty from the people that you've worked with. They understand that you're a problem solver. You're off to the races. So that's what I would do. That was a long way to answer that question, but that's what I would do. Honestly, I think it's valuable for anybody to do that right now. Dispositions is by far the biggest pain point right now. Take 30 minutes, I promise you. Dim the lights in a room. Don't let any other distraction come, and just say, how could I help people solve the disposition issue? You will come up with answers if you ask the right questions, and you ask the right questions and then ask an even better question, right? If you do that and you force your brain to think that way, you will come up with the answer. And this moment is calling for innovation and creativity and people who are willing to step up to the plate and say, it doesn't have to look like it's ever looked in the past. I'm gonna make my own news. I'm gonna write my own ticket. I'm not sitting around waiting to improve on existing process. This is a moment where you can create your own process. And who the heck knows, you might have a whole entire business that comes out of that. But you've got to get your brain thinking like that, and don't, you know, yes, I'm all about learning, but man, I'm excited to see what kind of innovative solutions people come up with to get them through this, and then to take advantage of the opportunity that comes out of it.
I love how excited you are, because I'm excited about what's going to come out of all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's awesome. So I know that you said that probate just jumped past the absentees. Are you sending postcards to those guys, or are you sending handwritten letters or letters?
Ask better questions. I love that. What we know, and probate is the only lead this way, guys. What we know about probate, and Postal Impact started out as a probate lead provider, and then we've morphed into what we are today, okay? What we know about probate leads, just so that you know, is that it is, like, by and large, unless you know something different, because there's niches and there's always exceptions, there's always unicorns, right? So don't, like, go ahead and discount me if you've experience something different. But what we know nationwide, by and large, is that probate is the only specialty lead where it really does not pay off for you to send a postcard. You really need to send a letter. You really need to send a letter to probate. That's the only lead. Every other specialty lead, I want you to send a letter, but then you can mix it up with a postcard. You don't want to keep sending a letter to, for example, a high-risk landlord or to a divorce. You can, but it's not necessary. In fact, it's kind of good for you to mix up your marketing. Probate is different. Since I mentioned probate, by the way, guys, we have postalimpact.com, which is our completely done for you. We also have the PI Marketing Hub. If you go to PI Marketing Hub, I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to tell you why I am. Can I chat?
Yep. Say, instead of saying send to organizer, say send to all.
Send to
For everyone.
I don't see everyone as an option. If you could just type in pimarketinghub.com. Here's why I'm sending you to that hub, guys. Right now through May 31st, things that we have sold in the past, we are giving away for free. Because I mentioned probate, one of the things that we are giving away on that marketing hub is the ebook that I wrote that literally tells you how to go and get the probate lead yourself and how to market to it. I literally tell you the kind of envelope that we use. Just go there, download the book, and you can do it yourself. We can get it for you. We're one of the biggest probate lead providers in the nation because I can put boots on the ground anywhere. But go there, go download the book, and I'll tell you how to do it. So just go download the book. And I mean, there's a whole, like, this is how you talk to them. And this is, I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. So if that's a lead that you're interested in, and especially if you don't have a lot of marketing dollars, that's a great read. It's a quick read. Get started there because that's the highest performing lead right now. By the way, probate, in all of history, probate is going to be your most lucrative lead. That's hands down. You're not going to get anybody who's been doing this for any length of time that's going to disagree with that. Over time, that's going to be your highest value lead. The problem with probate, and the reason why people don't do it is, you know, they get in their head about talking to somebody who has had a loved one pass away. And also the thing with probate is there's not a lot. So if you think about it, if all you can do is send 100 of these leads a month, people, because we're emotional, go, this isn't working because it might take 6 months for you to get a deal, right? The problem with that way of thinking is that, yes, it took you 6 months to get a deal, but you only sent 600 letters. And if you get a $20,000 deal and you spent $700 for it, I'll take that all day, every day. Probate tends to be the most lucrative lead. It's not your highest response rate necessarily, although right now it is the highest. Right now, probate is the highest response rate, highest net lead rate.
Awesome. It looks like we had somebody that logged in a little bit late. What is your buy-in amount, the budget for people who do have money to market?
So from the marketing hub, there's nothing. There's no limit. Yeah, I mean, there's no minimum because that's more of a do-it-yourself. We are actually through May 31st. One of the things that we're doing from that marketing hub is I'm actually giving you access to my marketing team, and they're helping you pull lists and things like that, just so that to make it easier for you. We don't normally do that, but through May 31st. If you want to pull a lead list and mail the lead list from our marketing hub, I'm literally having my team help you do that. On the completely done for you side, there's a $10,000 a month minimum spend. That's where we're going. I mean, that's really intense, guys. I mean, we take a very holistic approach. So we're doing everything for you, and we're studying data and giving you that data back. So it's kind of two options. On the marketing hub side, there's no minimum. If you want us to pull the list for you and study your data and handle your entire mail campaign start to finish for you, that's where there's the $10,000 a month minimum spend.
Okay. Michael, did that answer your question? Maybe. Yes. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I understood it. So can you talk a little bit, because I know that Paul has talked about your VAs in training, and I'm curious about hearing more about that. Can you talk a little bit about that for a second?
This has surprised me so much because we really decided that we weren't going to talk a lot about the virtual lead managers during this time because we just assumed nobody was going to want to hire somebody right now. Like we were like, let's just double down on some other things. And that has exploded. So the virtual lead managers, guys, was created because we work so closely with investors, really good investors all over the nation. What we figured out and found out is that I'll include myself in there, horrible at follow-up. Like we just want the low-hanging fruit. We just want to go kill crap, you know? So we're taking the low-hanging fruit. If somebody says, yes, I'll sell you my home, we're like, hot dog. Everybody else kind of falls by the wayside. And we know in our heads that we should follow up, but we just don't. So get this, about 6 months ago, we did a 3-year study of our clients' data, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of points of data, okay? We did a 3-year study, and we figured out that of our clients who had any kind of systematic follow-up system in place, like structured follow-up system in place, 74% of their deals came in follow-up, 30 or more days after the initial point of contact with the client, okay? Of our clients who did not follow up the way that they should on their leads or were really sloppy with it, only 8% of their deals came in follow-up. It's insane. And just in case you've got in your head, well, was one better at the front end? Both of them were closing both groups of people were closing 23 to 25% of their upfront deals. So we are comparing apples to apples here. That's how massively important follow-up is. But for those of you who have a sales team, or for those of you who are owner operators, and you're a salesperson, that is just like, it is just a massively difficult thing to get the discipline to do because you just don't see it as high value. So we got tired of repeating ourselves over and over with our clients saying, you got to do this, you got to do this, you're missing so much. I just got off the phone with somebody, a business owner with GeoFlip, who's another lead generator, and he had just done a study. We do this for our clients, by the way, guys, to prove to them, because what people convince themselves, honestly, that there's this magic lead list out there that's going to make them this incredible investor. And what we have found from working with the kind of clients that we do is that more often than not, there's not a lead problem. More often than not, there's a conversion problem, okay? So one of the things that we've had to do with our clients to prove to them that it's not the lead is we will take all of the leads that we've given them and we'll go and figure out what happened, what ultimately ended up happening, and somebody's buying it. So you can say all you want that it's somebody else's fault, but if another investor got the deal, then they figured it out. They figured out how to get it done. So if you want to prove to yourself, you know, like where your issues lie, guys, I encourage you, go back and look at the deals you didn't get and see what ultimately happened with those deals. And I'm telling you, it's going to shock you to figure out that, oh, somebody did buy that deal. Oftentimes, some of the things you're going to figure out with that, by the way, is, oh, my buy box is not right. Like I'm missing out on deals because I'm making the ARV too low. So a lot of our clients figured that out even from studying their lost deals, is they went, and the way that you can see that, guys, is if you're truly following what the ultimate disposition of that property, then you can see investor bought it here. Yep, that investor outbid me. He got it. There's his rehab. Oh my gosh, he listed it for $30,000 more than I thought was the max value on that home. And it tells you where your issues lie, right? So with the virtual lead managers, what we ultimately did is understood that people aren't going to follow up usually. And we pre-screen and pre-train VAs to nurture and audit leads all the way through a sales process and to run the follow-up sequences on leads. So here's the bottom line, guys. If you do 10 or more deals a year, it makes all this, and you're not doing follow-up and you're not good at it, just first of all, own it. Stop trying to convince yourself, just like you got the stack of postcards in the corner of your office that you keep saying you're going to scrub out of your return mail, and that stack keeps growing it. And we all have it. We all have it. We have the things that we go, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Here's a little tip for you. anything in your life that you keep saying you're going to do and you haven't done it for 3 months, it's not a bad thing. Just own it. That's not your genius. And you shouldn't even be trying to force yourself to do it. And that's why we created virtual lead managers, because these are people, they are not salespeople. These are people who are just, they're highly detailed, very detail-oriented people who like to cross T's and dot I's. So they just run those follow-up sequences on the leads. And if they identify somebody who is motivated and wants to talk, now they push it back to your salespeople so your salespeople can go and kill that. So again, if you're doing 10 or more deals a year, think about this. I told you 74% of deals came in follow-up on the study that we did. Let's say you only got 30%. Let's say you only converted another 30%. If you're doing 10 or more deals a year and you get 3 extra deals a year because you hired somebody to do follow-up on your leads, worth it. You know, people tell me all the time, I don't know if I can afford to hire somebody. And first of all, these guys are very reasonable. A full-time employee ends up being a couple $1,000 a month is the gist of it. But what I tell people all the time is, if someone makes you money, then they don't cost you anything. And if you're not going to do it, then you got to get somebody in place to do it. Otherwise, you're just throwing money out the window. When people come to me to handle their marketing campaigns, first question I always ask them anymore is, do you have somebody following up on your leads? And if you don't, there's no reason for you to be paying me the kind of money that you pay me to throw leads at you when you're just going to waste them. Don't bother. Don't bother. Fix your system first. Our company motto is scale to be better before you scale to be bigger. So from a marketing standpoint, I tell people all the time, if you can see the cost of a lead manager as a marketing expense, I promise you there is no better return on your money than having somebody who treats your leads, whose only job it is to treat your leads like the gold that they are. And that they're the lifeblood of your business. You have to treat them and give them the respect that they deserve. You have to.
Question just came in. Do all of your VAs you train work full-time, or do some work part-time? How does that work?
Up until this point, we have not done part-time. We did part-time at first when we first started, and then we eliminated that because everybody always upgraded to full-time. Everybody always ultimately upgraded to full-time. Interesting that you've asked the question. I wouldn't have mentioned it. We have been allowing people to go part-time through this period of time, because everything for us right now, guys, is just about getting you through this period of time. So we are actually allowing right now people to hire part-time VAs. The hourly rate goes from $12.60 an hour to $15 an hour. So I'll just throw that out there. So it is a little bit more expensive, but we are allowing people to hire part-time at the moment. That option will probably go away, honestly, within the next month or two. But what we're trying to do right now is just do whatever we need to do to help people get through, you know, this moment.
And that's
so it is an option.
virtualleadmanager.com, correct?
Yeah, and virtual lead managers with an S, virtualleadmanagers.com.
Okay, then hold on a second. I gotta retype that in, guys. Sorry about that. Managers with an S. There we go. Okay. So I put that website up there for you guys if you would like to go check that out. Are there any other questions?
I don't know what I did. I lost my screen.
I just sent you the request again.
Oh. There we go.
Yeah. Mark's back. Mark, do you have any questions?
No questions. I just wanted to recap and thank you so much for coming on. Really some wonderful information.
I really hope one day I can come and see you guys live. I've tried so hard to do this. I'm committing to you now that if we ever go back to that, I want to come see you guys live.
You have to.
Well, we'll go back someday, but your energy was amazing. Your mindset is great at the beginning, but just to recap a few great things that I heard you say was your network is your net worth, basically. Stay plugged into people that are doing it or on the outside or inside right now. This is what makes it happen, and this is what we're trying not trying to. This is what we're bringing to you guys every other day, and as much as we possibly can. This is everybody's chance to get involved in the game, almost level the playing field. So let's help each other grow. Another thing, crisis equals opportunities. Opportunities are right here, right now. Those who persevere and stay persistent and consistent are going to win. This is the time. Always know what your exit strategy is, because if your exit strategy is a good one and the worst case scenario is something you can live with, keep moving forward and follow up. Follow up, follow up. These leads are gold. Take your leads from the past and get on it. Go to work, stay plugged in, and keep doing it over and over and over again. Right now, more than ever before, follow up, consistency, but most of all, think about what you think about. It's your mindset that will take you through every period of your life. That's what's the main thing. Control the things that you can. That's the things you think about, the food you put in the body, the exercise you do, the people you hang around, the 5 people you want to be around. Get around people that think now is the time, because now is the time when you make it the time. So I just want to say thank you. You validated just the way that I feel. You backed it with statistics. So everybody, I know, yeah, let's go, people. Let's get the party started. Anyway, so yeah, so I appreciate your energy. Can't wait till we're in the same room together. And you know, this is just the spring is coming after winter. This is the best opportunity for new investors and ones who aren't too dug in. Those of you who got substantial portfolios, get lean, get you some money. You'll persevere through this. The good times are coming, and they're really still right here, right now. This is an exciting time to be in real estate, and we're so happy you joined us. And who's ever listening tonight, keep on coming back. We'll keep bringing you information, and stay plugged in. Your network is your net worth. And remember one more thing. It's always the right time to buy real estate if you buy real estate the right way.
I love it. I love it.
Ow!
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's
All
go.
right, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Seriously, I've had a blast, and I know I would have an even bigger blast if I was there in person, but we'll get to it. We'll get it.
Yes, we will.
Rock and roll.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.